Last Friday, Community Connect was out there as Lejo Kuku on a missions program, and some details came to light. The disagreements that some persons with disability have in terms of the disbursement of a 3% allocation to them in the common fund. They also have raised red flags about transparency, about favoritism, and the lack of proper coordination and monitoring on the part of the National Council for Persons with Disability. Take a look at this story. When we come back, we'll get into the conversation.
The World Health Organization figures indicate there are over 2 million disabled persons in Ghana. Majority of them are impoverished and marginalized. Inaccessible public facilities, education and other social services are major challenges. Government passed the Disability Bill in June 2006, but implementation is far from desirable. The policy on giving 3% of the common fund to persons with disability came as relief to many. It is aimed at reducing poverty among persons with disability, particularly those outside the formal sector. But this objective appeared to be far from being achieved. Issues of improper management, monitoring, disbursement and documentation of the funds have been the challenge for persons with disability. The guidelines for the disbursement of the funds is silent on the number of times and amount an individual or organization can access, compounding the situation. Able persons are allegedly accessing the 3% common fund allocated to the disabled. At the 3FM Community Connect program at Teshi Triblo in Accra, some persons with disabilities showed they were not happy with how the Lejo Kuku Assembly disburses the 3% of the disability funds to their members.
There is the need that for every disbursement, there should be a report being served to the National Council as well as our rep on the committee. But from the report that I've been hearing from most of the district, being that if you even go forth to request for a report of such, they may tell you that such a report is for administrative purposes.
We are not happy about the way the LECMA Disability Fund is being running here.
Why?
Write to our members what they need to do.
They accuse the Assembly of being selective and also not being transparent in the disbursement of the funds.
Nsawom adwaji se me ko pe caliper ma ne nan ene ne nsa na me fa mbra lekma office no mbetua acho application be 4 to 5 years me nsan kan bibia.
But the fund manager at the Lejo Kuku Municipal Assembly, James Bote, disagrees with persons with disabilities.
We have provision for those cases. Now this lady received startup capital, I think somewhere last year, to start doing something.
Of how much?
She received 800.
800 Ghana cedis. Okay.
Now, concerning the child, she wrote an application.
Okay.
I think last 2 weeks or last 3 weeks.
Okay.
Only last 2 weeks. And then she came and told me that she has submitted it to the assembly.
Right.
And then I told her that she should exercise patience. They will start calling the people for interview, maybe somewhere in this March. So that when they start calling, she will appear before the committee and his case will be addressed.
He said since 2012, the Assembly has ensured the Disability Fund is released to those who are due.
Since we started assessing this fund, we've been able to, that the members have been able to do a lot of things out of that. Most of the people are now fully engaged in their day-to-day activities to get something to feed themselves.
So those are fallouts from a conversation with the people of the Lejo Kuku Municipal Assembly. We were there last Friday, and be on the lookout for us because we'll be coming to your locality shortly. But this conversation is made possible by Star Ghana with funding from European Union, Danida, and the UK. I have in studio here Abdul Wahab. He is the communications officer of the GFD, Ghana Federation for Persons with Disability. Abdul, good morning. Good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Good to see you one more time. So let's pick the issues one after the other. Of course, there were so many things that came to light on Friday. But key among them is the monitoring and evaluation bit. How must it go? Because we realized there that most of the assemblies don't submit their reports to the National Council, and it says that the guideline says every quarter the report must go. Yeah. But Lejukuku, for example, had about 2 or 3 quarters in arrears of the report. Why?
Thank you very much. And you see, this question, we have to be looking at it from the council point of view. Yes, it is the 2006 Disability Act that set up the National Council on Person with National Council on Person with Disability, and the council is supposed to be resourceful enough to respond to some of these things. As we speak now, we do not even know what the council is doing as far as the coordination of disability activities is concerned.
So the fact that Mr. Debra says there's work that's ongoing.
So if work is ongoing, that is okay. But then now, the council was supposed to have been receiving those reports.
Right.
But here is the case, the report is not going. Is it not the duty of the council to also ensure that those reports should be made available to them so that they can also monitor and then confirm what is wrong and what is right?
In the case of the Lejukuku area, for example, the fund manager, Mr. Bote, had not been served a copy of the report, but the report, I think for the first quarter of 2018, had gone to the council, and the fund manager in the locality didn't have a copy of the report. Is that normal?
That is not normal, because once the fund manager is in charge of the fund, who prepares the report, who signs the report, who finalizes the report, how does the report goes? There are something we should be looking at here, whether there is a wrong coordination somewhere, or maybe there is some kind of excuse my language to say that negligence in the part of the fund manager as well. Because if I am the leader, I'm the manager.
Well, he said he requested for it, but
from who?
From the secretary.
He should be involved
from
in every process. He should be involved in every process. So if you now sit down and then at the end of the day you request from the secretary, are you not? You should order for it. You are not requesting. So I don't think he's being honest.
Let's talk about the allocation of the amounts. And constituency by constituency, if you like district by district, we've had people have problems with it. What is this supposed to be? I put in an application, and then somebody vets it and then gives me the money. But is there no standardized figures that everybody must get?
Yeah, you see, what the purpose of the fund itself is to alleviate persons with disability from poverty into dignified labor. Their social integrity has to.
That's the vision of the.
Now that's the vision. So it is not just about giving the money. Let's say that the money is there. Abdul Wahab, I have brought my application that okay, I want to do business. Maybe the kind of business I want to do is I want to buy a fridge and begin to sell some drinks. Now the fund management committee, they are supposed to vet the application. Find out what I am trying to do. Do I have that capacity to be able to do it? Do I need any capacity development so that when I get the money, it will be able to achieve what I want? They have to do all these assessments. Then do their own findings and said, okay, we can approve 20,000 CDs or 2,000 CDs or 150 for Adam Abdul Wahab. And they must ensure that whatever I am requesting the money for should be used for that. But here is the case, people apply for the money to use it to do their businesses. Somebody is requesting for 2,500. How do you conduct the vetting? You end up giving the person 200 Ghana cedis. How will the person use it to do something that should have cost him 2,005?
The understanding I got from Mr. Debra was that Mr. Debra, by the way, for those who are not familiar with him, is the national board chairman of the National Council for Persons Living with Disability. But Mr. Debra pointed out that these days they don't give money anymore. They don't give out money anymore. What happens is that they will find an equipment. So you want to sell ice water, they will find you a deep freezer, or something like that. Or you want to sew, they will find you a sewing machine. That arrangement is also not cool.
Yes, you know, it's cool, and that is a new development in the common fund, and you know, that one came as a result of the common fund administrator issuing administrative guideline to support the district assemblies to disburse the common fund. Of course, that arrangement is helping, except people who have wrong understanding about the district assembly common fund. How
do you mean?
What I mean is that some person with disability feel that that money is for us. Okay. And since it is for us, it is something that we can just walk in at any time and collect the money and use it to do what we want. Some people even come to see it as something, social protection that can offer them like daily bread or whatever. So those people who had it that wrong, they are not cool with this arrangement. Okay. But the object of this arrangement is that it should be programmed. If Abdul Wahab, is set up, okay, maybe next time I will not even apply for
the fund again. You'll be sustainable.
And I will be opted out. Okay. I'll be sustainable, or I'll be okay. Then another person also comes in. And gradually we are facing the poverty out of persons with disabilities.
I see. So in this instance, like you said, somebody puts in an application for 2,000 cedis and then gets 200 cedis. I put in an application for 2,000 to get a deep freezer. Yeah. Then somebody somewhere decides that, well, I need 200 cedis to buy a tabletop fridge instead. How does it work that way? How does the tabletop fridge help me in my ice water business?
So that is where the problem lies. And that is where we blame the fund management committees and those who do the vetting and the assessment to be able to do that disbursement. But normally they put the blame on persons with disability that sometimes about 100 people can apply. And when the 100 people apply, each of them want the money to do one thing or the other. Right. They want to satisfy everybody who has brought in application. But at the end of the day, satisfying all of them does not solve the problem. The truth is, select some group of them, a certain number that you can actually set up, and set them up. The next quarter you select another group. The following quarter you do the same. But if
you bump everybody together,
bring us together, you'll be giving us 200. All the 100 people we will get. Next time we still get the 200, and we still go back to the street back. You understand?
Abdul is my guest in studio. He is the communications officer of the Ghana Federation for Persons with Disability. But let's go on to the telephone line now. Joshua Makubu is a man who is an advocate for persons with disability. Joshua, good morning and thank you for your time, sir.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you to you and your cherished viewers.
Joshua, I want to start the conversation this way with you. So I have been to about 3-4 districts, and the problem that seems to run through is the fact that either persons with disability are not getting enough. Somebody puts in an application for 2,000 cedis, and then they could get like 150 cedis or 200 cedis to start a business. And then it came to light that the numbers involved are too many. Is it possible that persons with disability can talk about mergers, so that you want to get into ice water business? I also want to do a similar thing. We can buy one big freezer, get the water, and get into a merger. Is this possible? I think we lost Joshua on the phone line. Abdul, let me put that question to you. So mergers are really not things that a lot of entrepreneurs in this country like. Yeah. But you and I can go into the fund and say, look, we want to start an ice water business. If your excuse is that you can't find one freezer for me and one freezer for Abdul, can we have a mutual account to give us both a freezer and then water so we can share and start a business together? Is that option possible?
That option is possible and it's not possible.
Okay, let's start with the possibility.
The possibility is that the two of us, whether we are families or we are friends, we have the same objectives, we have the same aim, we have the same vision. Okay. There is that mutual understanding between me and you. Okay. We have sat down and analyzed to agree on how do we share the profits. When there is cost, how do we share it? all those things, when they are agreed upon, and the two of us still feel that that better understanding will continue to exist in a very good relation between me and you in business terms, fine, we can go ahead. But the problem is, when we do that, today that we need the money, and today that we just need to set up the business, we can agree to all those possible and impossible terms and conditions. But once the business begins to grow, Party A will feel
you will have an agreement, won't you? An agreement to on how much you're investing, how much profit comes in, how what to share.
But once we move forward, for human beings, problem is likely to come out there.
One key question, we're wrapping up on this one, was the fact that the persons with disability in Lejokuku, for example, want to know how much comes into the kitty at every quarter, and how much of it is disbursed, and how is this. They want a report on that. Does that report come to you, for example?
Yeah, for example, anytime the District Assembly's Common Fund Administrator releases the funds to the disabled accounts, we are shared a copy of how much goes into each district.
I see.
And the right thing that should have been done is that they take records of all those who apply for the fund. Those that they were able to give, the amount that they give, and then the machines that they have bought and whatever, they have to state all those things. Then at the end, we will know that this amount has been used for this, and this amount have also been used for that. So at the end of the day, that report was supposed to go to the National Council on Persons with Disability, where they will also track and then find out, 2,000 cedis was given to maybe North Gonja district. However, they have spent 150, so they still have this amount sitting there, so they can track the process. But that is one issue or one thing. The guidelines to the District Assembly Common Fund has not been very clear on. That is why they are thinking about.
And I noticed that in your guidelines, there are no sanctions for people who flout the guidelines.
Exactly.
There are no sanctions.
That's what.
How do you build a law like that? A guideline that has no punitive arrangement. So somebody is supposed to submit a report. Somebody is supposed to do A, B, C, D. They don't do it, and nothing happens to them. How does that work?
So, you know, the guidelines have such gaps, and there is a need to review the guidelines as soon as possible. And I think that one of the things the guidelines should also be looking at is we have different areas that the fund should be supporting. Like the lady was asking about assistive devices and others. Exactly. The guidelines should be able to state that, 5% of the fund should go to assistive devices, 1% should do this, 20% should go to business. So in that case, tracking.
There's a standardization that's happening.
Understand.
Abdul, thank you very much indeed. Most grateful. Adam Abdul Wahab is my guest. He's been my guest. He's the communications officer for the Ghana Federation of Persons Living with Disability. Adam, thank you very much.